You probably think your blood type is just some letter on your driver's license, right? Well, I'm here to tell you that single letter on your medical chart is playing a huge role in how you live and maybe even how you die. And nope, I am not exaggerating. This is pure biology.
You might think being, say, O positive just makes you a great blood donor and that you're totally in the clear. That's actually a pretty dangerous myth. So today, we are going to break down the specific hidden time bombs ticking inside O, A, B, and AB blood types. And, more importantly, we're going to give you the exact safety manual to diffuse them.
And let's be super clear about this from the get-go. We are not talking about personality traits or any kind of pseudoscience. This is about real, measurable biological risks that are literally baked into your DNA. And it's all confirmed by major studies in places like the journal Neurology and the American Heart Association. Okay, let's dive right in. Before we can get to your specific blood type, you really have to understand the core mechanism behind all of this. Because if you don't get the why, the solutions aren't going to make a whole lot of sense. So imagine your red blood cells are like little tennis balls just floating through your veins. Well, on the surface of these cells, you've got these tiny little spikes or sticky patches. They're called antigens. And honestly, the easiest way to think of them is as biological Velcro. They pretty much determine who you are, biologically speaking. This slide really breaks down that fundamental difference. On one side, you have blood types A and B, and they've got their specific A or B style Velcro. But then you have type O, and its cells are basically naked. They have zero Velcro. And that single factor is what determines if your blood flows smoothly, like water, or if it's kind of thick and sticky, more like honey. All right, let's get into the nitty-gritty, starting with the two most common blood types on the entire planet. That's type O and type A. So almost 40% of the world has type O blood. You've probably heard it called the strong, original hunter-gatherer blood. But here's the thing. Here's the irony. Because your blood doesn't have those sticky antigens, it's chemically slippery. You have what doctors call superflow blood. And as you can see from the danger loops here, that superflow is a total double-edged sword. Sure, it makes you practically bulletproof against certain types of clots, but it also means you're at a high risk of hemorrhaging. In fact, a lot of trauma surgeons say they can guess a patient is type O just based on how hard it is to stop the bleeding. The other big danger? Your gut. It's like a welcome mat for nasty bacteria like H. pylori. So your safety loops are crystal clear. Keep your stomach acid strong, and always tell a doctor you're type O before any procedure. Now, let's talk about type A, because here, the script flips entirely. If type O is slippery, while type A is sticky. Now, back in ancient times, this was a huge advantage, right? You get scratched by a saber-toothed tiger, you clot up instantly, and you survive. But today, you're not running from tigers. You're probably sitting in a chair for 8 hours a day. So here's the bottom line. That ancient survival tool is now a modern-day liability. Your blood just loves to clot. It's a condition called hypercoagulability. This is exactly why people with type A blood have a higher risk of deep vein thrombosis, heart attacks, and strokes. On top of that, your body naturally releases more cortisol, the stress hormone, which literally makes your blood even thicker. The takeaway for you? Movement is medicine. Seriously, never sit for more than 45 minutes straight. And an anti-inflammatory, plant-heavy diet isn't just a good idea, it's pretty much non-negotiable. Okay, let's move on to the less common but just as fascinating B and AB blood types and see how their story unfolds. Type B is thought to have originated way up in the Himalayan highlands, and it has a really robust immune system. But that strength comes with a weird vulnerability, a tendency toward chronic inflammation. I want you to think of your arteries like a garden hose. For type B folks, the inside of that hose can get rough and inflamed over time, which leads to poor circulation. If your hands and feet are always cold, this could be why. And what's more, your B antigen is like a favorite snack for bacteria like Salmonella and E. coli. So while type O gets slammed by norovirus, type B gets hit way harder by food poisoning. Your game plan has to involve being extra careful with food hygiene and loading up on foods rich in nitric oxide, like beets and leafy greens, to help get that circulation going. And then we have the rarest of the main types, AB. You've got both the A and the B antigens. Now, this makes you the universal recipient for blood transfusions, which is awesome. But inside your own body, there's a really strange and serious trade-off happening. Okay, get ready for this, because this number is shocking. It comes from a major study in the journal Neurology. People with type AB blood were found to be 82% more likely to develop cognitive issues like memory loss, 82%. So, what on earth is going on here?
Well, it all comes down to something called a sludge effect. Having both A and B antigens makes your blood prone to a specific clotting factor that thickens the blood, especially in the tiniest blood vessels of your brain. Over decades, this poor microcirculation can literally starve your brain cells of oxygen. For you, brain games aren't just a fun hobby, and cardio exercise is absolutely critical to push that blood into those tiny capillaries. And keeping your blood pressure low, that is your #1 defense. Okay, so now we have to enter what I call the negative zone. Because if your blood type has a minus sign next to it, you're part of a pretty exclusive club, only about 15% of all humans, and you face an entirely different and life-altering set of risks. Being negative just means you're missing a specific protein called the Rh factor. Think of it this way. If positive blood is a house with a welcome mat out front, negative blood is a house with a giant keep out sign. Your immune system sees Rh positive blood as a foreign invader, and it will attack it. Now, this becomes most critical during pregnancy. As you can see here, if an Rh-negative mother is carrying an Rh-positive baby, her body can actually identify her own baby's blood as a threat and launch an attack. It's a terrifying thought, but thankfully, modern medicine has this brilliant solution, the RhoGAM shot. It basically works like an invisibility cloak for the baby's blood cells, which prevents the mother's immune system from ever even seeing them. This one simple shot turns what used to be a fatal mismatch into a complete non-issue. It's amazing. But pregnancy is not the only risk here. The biggest danger for all negative blood types is what I call the scarcity trap. Just look at how rare you are. O negative is only 7% of the population. B negative, just 1%. And AB negative is less than 1%. This scarcity is your single biggest vulnerability in an emergency. And this slide really summarizes the double whammy you're facing. You have all the built-in risks of your letter type, so the bleeding for O, the clotting for A, plus you have the added nightmare of scarcity. So if you're A negative, you're walking around with a higher risk of needing a hospital because of clots, but a very low chance the hospital will have your specific blood on hand. And for AB negative, the rarest blood type on Earth, well, that's the ultimate supply crisis. So let's just bring this all together, shall we? The medical system might just treat you like a statistic, but you are a very specific biological machine. So consider this your personal user's manual. If you're type O, guard your gut. If you're A, move your body to keep that sticky blood flowing. If you're B, fight that inflammation with a clean diet. If you're AB, protect your brain with cardio. And if you are any negative type, please be prepared. Wear a medical ID bracelet. It could absolutely save your life. Look, you can stop flying blind. This knowledge gives you the power to work with your biology instead of against it. So the only real question left is, what are you going to do with it?